Tech for Senior, episode 95, January 17th, 2020. Welcome, everyone. We have 82 people in the audience today and a whole bunch more over on our YouTube meeting. So welcome, everybody, to Tech for Senior. For those of you who are new here, we've been doing this now. We're going into our third year, so we're pretty excited about this. We actually have two shows a week. We have one on Monday, and we have one on Thursday. And the Thursday one is becoming quite popular. That's where we go and have a look at all the news of the week and sit around and have coffee. As also we moved ahead and we now podcast that. So our Thursday show is podcasted out. And it goes out to all the major podcast networks as well. So if you are listening or you are on, do listen to podcasts, do a search and find us. And we're all ears. We're actually quite anxious to get some feedback and see what everybody thinks. But so far, we're getting people listening, which is pretty cool, you know. So we actually have three shows. We have our podcast. We have our and we have our show today, and of course our Thursday show. So now the show is also streamed. This show is streamed over to YouTube. So those of you who are over on our YouTube feed right now, we'll be ending the show just before the music segment, and we can. If you want to pop over and participate in the Q&A after that, that would be just fine. We have, of course, the big debate is today, and Hewie and I are going to. So the show is taking a little bit of a turn today, and those of you who saw our Saturday newsletter, of course, will see the agenda now. You can see the agenda for the Monday show is in the Saturday newsletter. It just gets me off my toes quicker now, and I have to get the agenda out rather than waiting until Sunday. It's got to go out on Saturday. So there you go. You can now see what we're going to do in the newsletter. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter, you can at www.techforsenior.com and just go there and sign up, and we'll send you the newsletter twice a week. So just to let everyone know, excuse me, some of you are wondering where Dewey's been. Dewey, of course, has been a regular contributor to the show for the last year, and we always enjoy his segment. Dewey's doing okay. He's still at Silver Ridge, of course, basking in the sun and enjoying the warmer weather. He's working hard with the Silvercom Computer and Technology Club to try and get the club going again. And so he's requested that that he wants to take a leave of absence for 10 weeks until he gets back to his home and can concentrate on producing those great videos that he gave us for the last year. So that's going to happen. So Dewey will not be here for the next 10 weeks. Now, to fill that in, I've enlisted all our regular staff and they're going to do a Windows tip. So that part of Dewey's segment will be a weekly Windows tip, and it may be a Windows 10 or a Windows 11 tip, depending on who's giving it. And I have assigned the next 10 weeks to everyone here, so they all know their dates, and they're going to do either an in-person or recorded video on Windows. It'll be a Windows 10 tip. And then, of course, when Dewey comes back, we might even keep it. We might see if we can work our way in, and we'll see what everybody. I want you to we'll do an evaluation at the end of the 10 weeks and see what you guys think. If you think it's a good thing to continue on with, we'll get your opinion on that. This is a good week to mention as well. I want to thank. I want to thank Tom Euler and Sunday Ruth for their generous donation to our coffee fund. This is the time of year when we like to review our finances, and it costs about $1,200 a year to put the show on. We now have over 500 videos that we have cataloged on YouTube. We run 2 shows, a podcast, and we do a lot of work on this show. And to get it all done for $1,200 a year is pretty amazing. And those are all just basically licensing fees. Now, last year was in year 1, we really didn't know what we were going to do. Year 2, we said, hey, everyone, can you help us out? And the response was phenomenal. Within I think 3 weeks, we had met our goal. And I don't think that's going to be a problem this year. I would expect that probably that everybody will generously donate, and it'll all happen very quickly, and it's over. So what I'm going to do each week, I'll let you know what our goal. I think we set our goal at $1,200 this year, and I'll let you know how much we have. And once we reach $1,200, then I just won't mention it again. People can still donate through the year. You will find the location to donate is on the bottom of every video that goes out. It's in our newsletter and it's on our website. So just click the coffee button there, and you'll be able to donate to Tech for Senior, and that will be and we'll have that for you. But as I said, we have a generous. It was no problem last year. It happened very quickly, and I expect that will be the same this year. Now, before we get into the debate, Hewie, do you have any last words before I knock you out?
Oh, but I think you got Bob scheduled first, don't you?
Yeah, well, Bob will be going first, but
yeah. Oh no,
you wanted to say in your defense or what?
I don't need to. I'm going to win.
All right, and then let's Bob, how are you doing? Are you ready for the big debate here?
You guys are doing the debating. I already know who wins and who loses.
Bob used to be a boxer. He told me he knocked someone out once. Yes, yes. What's happening with you? Ray?
Oh, me. Oh, sorry, I didn't hear my name. Thank you for the warning about Bob. I'm going to be really extra nice to him from now on.
Yeah, he's a tough guy.
Yeah, I've been doing all right. I'm continuing with my Plex. I'm now into television shows, and I have Ozzie and Harriet and Burns and Allen all stored.
Oh, okay. Good. So we'll probably getting part 3 on that sometime in the future?
Sometime in the future.
Okay, great. And Bill, you're up this week for Tech for Senior Live. Are you going to have a bunch of gadgets for us?
I'm going to try to, yeah. But I'm looking forward to the big debate. I have my my bets on one person.
You do. Well, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get on with Bob. If you can, I'll let you go with your security update first, and then we'll get into the debate.
All righty. Here is the Avast Security News Roundup for the week ending January 14th, 2022. Emails from Uber may not have been from Uber. Uber has finally fixed the vulnerability that allowed bad actors to send emails from Uber's official email account, but the fix comes 7 years after the bug was first reported. Over the years, several researchers have reported the easy-to-exploit vulnerability in Uber, one as early as 2015, but the rideshare company did not patch the problem until this week. Uber has a bug bounty program with 1,790 reports resolved, commented Louis Carone, Avast security evangelist. So this is not a case of the company not taking care of security, but a human mistake handling the reports of this specific bug. In any case, please remember never to insert any kind of personal data in any link that comes from an email. It's not known if the bug was ever exploited, but anyone who has shared personal information in response to an email from Uber over the past 7 years is well advised to change their passwords. For more on this story, see Threat Post. NSO tool used to hack U.S. State Department iPhones. An unknown assailant attacked at least 9 U.S. State Department employees' iPhones using spyware created by Israeli-based NSO group, according to Reuters. Each of the attacked officials had something to do with Uganda. They were either based there or otherwise focused on the East African country, NSO reported. However, that there had been no indication any of its tools were used. The company said that it would nevertheless cancel access to the relevant customers and begin an investigation. Senator Roy Wyden commented, companies that enable their customers to hack U.S. government employees are a threat to America's national security and should be treated as such. Secure your QNAP NAS now. QNAP Systems, Inc. issued a product security statement warning users that ransomware and brute force attacks have been widely targeting all QNAP NAS smart storage devices exposed to the internet without any protection. Users can see if their NAS network attached storage is exposed to the internet by checking the NAS Security Counselor dashboard. If the NAS is exposed to the internet, users can strengthen the security by disabling first the port forwarding function of the router and then the UPnP function. For more specific instructions, see QNAP Product Security News. WordPress 5.8.3 fixes 4 flaws. The WordPress team released version 5.8.3 this week, which fixes 3 flaws rated high severity and 1 rated medium severity. While all of the flaws have prerequisites for exploitation, any site using WordPress 5.8.2 or older is vulnerable. The 3 high severity flaws include SQL injection via WP query, an XSS vulnerability that adds a backdoor, and a SQL injection via WP meta query core class. The medium severity flaw fixed by the update is an object injection issue. There have been no reports that any of the vulnerabilities have yet been exploited. For more on the story, see Bleeping Computer. Apple HomeKit bug sends devices into crash spiral. In August 2021, a researcher reported a bug to Apple that could send iPhones and iPads into crash spirals, but the company still has not created an effective fix. The bug is exploited through HomeKit, an Apple feature that allows users to control home features with their phone. First, the attacker must give its network an extraordinarily long name, about 500,000 characters. Then they share that network with other devices. If the other device accepts, it will be sent into a malfunctional spiral that ends in complete unresponsiveness. The user's only option at that point is a factory reset of the device. For more on this story, see Ars Technica. This week's must-read on the Avast blog. It's always wise to use a critical eye whenever someone reaches out to you online. By taking your time and carrying out due diligence, you should be able to safely help your loved ones and avoid being scammed. Click on the link below to access the full article on this topic. And that wraps up this week's Avast Security News Roundup. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you, Bob. Thanks so much. All right, we're going to now move into the debate section. Now, as you know, the question that we have asked, and this actually was originally brought up by Steve Parker, one of our regulars on the show here. Steve had some questions about backing up, so we thought this would be an excellent teaching opportunity, but we were going to put it in the form of a debate. So thank you, Steve, for bringing up the idea. Of course, we will be debating this now, and there will be the forum will occur as follows. Hewie, of course, will go first. He's arguing for backing up your hard drive, and he has prepared. Each of us can prepare up to a 10-minute segment, pre-recorded segment, and he has indeed done that. And I have prepared my 10-minute segment, which we played second. Then we will have 2 5-minute oral, where we just get to talk about things rather than actually be recording. So Huey will get 5 minutes. Bob is going to time us on this so that we only have 5 minutes. And of course, when I talk, he's going to time me to make sure I don't blab on. Now we're going to do a poll now, and I want to do a poll because what we're going to do, how we're going to figure out who won the debate is we're going to take a poll now. And the poll that you'll see in front of you, and I'd like everyone to answer this, is should you back up your hard drive? The question is not, do you back up your hard drive? The question is, should you back up your hard drive? And what we want to do is take a poll and see, we're going to give everyone maybe about a minute to answer the questions. Now we're going to do this after, we're going to do this, do this again after the debate and see if any of the, anybody's attitude has changed. And if your attitudes have changed, I don't know, then we'll decide who's going to win, right? We'll see how it all works out. So I'm going to give everybody a little bit of time to do this. We'll give you a few more minutes, a few more seconds. And then Huey, are you getting ready to go?
Oh, I am so pumped up. I'm ready.
Are you? All right. You've been working out all week, have you?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Now listen, if I say anything, I don't want your feelings hurt. All right. So if in my segment, if I say anything about you, don't take it personally, right?
Oh, I will. I promise.
All right. What do we got here? I got to write these down because I can't figure out what do we got. 91 say, oh man, this is going to be easy. 91, will I convert them? And 9% say no.
Yeah, and it's 61 out of 67 and 6 out of 67.
All right, so we got those.
And we can't vote, so.
That's true. None of the staff can vote. Okay, so we're going to end the poll. All right, there we go. So I've ended it. I've recorded it. Take it away and let's see what you got, boy.
All right, let's close. I got to share the poll on my screen, and then go ahead and share my screen. Give me a second to get set up here.
They were giving me a hard time because when Huey logged in, I didn't give him co-host rights, so he wasn't going to be able to show his video.
Should you back up? I'm Hewie Poplock, and I say that you should. Ron Brown is against you backing up. I go first in our no backup versus backup between Ron and myself. Bob G will be the referee. The purpose of a backup is to create a copy of data that can be recovered in the event of a primary data failure. 113 phones are lost or stolen every minute. It was estimated that ransomware attacked a business every 14 seconds in 2019, and that is increasing. 1 in 10 computers are infected with viruses each month. Laptops are stolen every 53 seconds in the U.S., and over 70 million cell phones are lost each year. The reasons for primary data failure is, number 1, is human negligence, human error, failure to back up systems regularly, disgruntled employees, cyber attacks such as ransomware and phishing. Viruses can corrupt or delete files, natural disasters, hardware failure, theft, and software corruption. Human negligence, spilling a cup of coffee on your computer is a good example of that. Human error, mistyping, deleting something by mistake. overwriting something, failure to back up systems regularly. A disgruntled employee many times is a problem in a business. Cyber attacks such as ransomware and phishing. Natural disasters such as hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, lightning strikes, and even fires. Hardware failure, your hard drive crashes. Theft, somebody breaks into your business or your home, steals your computer. We had one case when I was in the computer business. Somebody called and said they needed a new computer because over the weekend theirs was stolen. So we said, what about your backup? He said, well, it was right next to it and they took that too. So make sure that when you back up, you put your backup in a good, safe location. And in the case of fires and in the case of storms and so on, you want to have it in another location. Software corruption. Backup copies allow data to be restored from an earlier point in time to help business recover from an unplanned event. All individuals and organizations risk permanently losing important data if they don't back up their files. For individuals, the loss of personal financial records, important documents, and irreplaceable photographs leads to a great deal of stress and disappointment. Organizations that don't back up their files, particularly their financial records, risk damaging their businesses, perhaps to the point of losing them. Many companies rely on computers to run their entire operations: finance, human resources, payroll, sales, marketing, and more. In some cases, companies that can't access their files due to accidental or malicious causes are unable to continue operating. They have to close. So what is a backup? A backup is a copy or archive of your important information on a device. The act of backing up your data is when you create a copy of your important information, store it in a secure, separate location, and recognize the backup as a restoration method for your device. Some facts and figures to consider. 1 in 10 computers are infected with viruses each month. 30% of people have never backed up their device. 70 million cell phones are lost each year. Hackers attack every 39 seconds, 2,244 times a day on average. One survey says that human error is the leading cause of data loss, making up for just less than half of all incidents, or 49%. There are several types of backup. From this chart, you see full, differential, mirror, offsite, remote, FTP, incremental, online or cloud, local, and full PC. I'm not going to go into each type in this presentation. But what is a file backup? A file backup makes a duplicate copy of important files on your computer and stores them on an external hard drive or other device. Some of the types of files you can protect with a file backup include your Microsoft Word and Excel documents, your accounting data file, your music files, and photographs from your digital camera. The primary purpose of a file backup is to make it easy to recover those important files no matter what happens to your hard disk or your computer. In fact, a file backup can be used to move your files to a completely different computer. A file backup allows you to select which files are important to you and only backs up those files. As such, file backups are much smaller and faster than an image backup, and they can be transmitted over the internet pretty quickly. So what is an image backup? A system image is an exact copy of your hard drive. The primary purpose of an image backup is to store an exact copy of a system that can quickly be restored if it becomes corrupted or the hard drive is replaced. Since an image backup is an exact duplicate of a hard drive, it can quickly restore a machine to its exact state at the time of the backup. This includes the operating system, the program files, the data files, and the computer settings. So don't wait until a data loss situation arrives. Make regular backups and include a data recovery software to ensure a reliable data recovery strategy. Have a plan. All humans make errors. All computer systems crash. Disasters happen when you're least prepared. Please don't live dangerously. Back up. I'm Hewie Poplock. Next, you'll hear Ron Brown argue that no backup is needed.
Well done. Well done. Well done there. All right. Let's see
Let's
how
hear what you have to say.
Yes. Now, I must tell you that it is under 10 minutes. It's 9 minutes and 26 seconds. So it is in keeping with the rules. It is definitely there, but we'll come over here, share my video, and let's see what I have to say. Good morning and welcome to the big debate. Should you back up your hard drive? Of course, this is Monday morning. The debate is between, of course, myself and Hewie Poplock. I want to thank Hewie for a great presentation he just did. I agree with everything he said. Both Hewie and I have taught computer technology for a very long time. Unfortunately, what he's told you is the old rhetoric, which of course we have been teaching for many, many, many years. I am going to argue today that backing up your hard drive in 2022 not only is going to cost you a lot of money, it's not necessary, and it can get you into some big trouble. So let me explain why I do not back up my hard drive. All right, let's back up in Windows 10. We're going to come down here to go back up and restore Windows. What? Windows 7? It's the same menu in Windows 11. That's 20 years old. Click this, and we're going to come up to Backup. All right, Backup or Restore Files. Let's click Create a System Image. That sounds like a good idea. Let's come along here, and we're going to set this up. So we're going to create a system image, and we're going to come over now, and it says this drive cannot be used. It says this drive cannot be used to store a system image because it's not formatted. Oh man, this is getting complicated. Reason is nobody ever uses this. Why would Windows 11 have the same menu? We all know that Windows 7 came from XP. Now I'm going to show you 3 slides, and I want you to tell me what all 3 have in common. All right. So this is the first slide, and this is the tragic fire in California. Hundreds of thousands of people lost their homes. This is the tornado that went through Kentucky, and again, mass devastation. People lost their homes. And these are the floodwaters of the Fraser Valley in British Columbia this year with the massive flooding. Again, people lost their homes. So what do all these 3 disasters have in common that affected so many people? They ran for their lives. They had seconds to make a split decision to live or die, and they had to flee. Now, if they had had a backup of their hard drive sitting in their house, or even on their property, they never would have been able to retrieve it. Another reason why backups of your hard drive just don't work. I went and got out of the closet my 2014 Toshiba laptop, and here it is. This computer had a total hard drive failure in 2014, 1 year before Windows 10 came out. I was stretching it a little to try and make this work, but on a Tuesday morning, I had a total hard drive failure. I sort of knew this was going to happen, so I called SOS, Serving Our Seniors, a computer tech company that I dealt with a lot in Mesa, Arizona. They said, Ron, bring your computer in tomorrow. I knew it was likely the hard drive and certainly wasn't going to tackle this problem, as I'm not any good at fixing internal parts of laptops. I don't know how to take them apart. Maybe some of you in the audience do, but most of you wouldn't, and you would take them to a computer repair store. And I did that. And the next morning I took my computer in. I picked up a spinning drive at Best Buy for about $35. They didn't really have solid state drives then, and had my computer back the next day with a sharp, fresh, crisp install of Windows 7. So what did I do? Well, it was being repaired because, of course, I use my computer every day. I simply picked up my Chromebook, logged into my Chromebook, and all my stuff was there. When I got my crisp Windows 7 machine back that had been all loaded and fixed up for me that afternoon, I simply logged into my Google account and all my stuff was back where it should be. And yes, there were a couple of programs that I had to load, but it all happened very quickly. Did I back up my hard drive? No. Did I restore from my hard drive? No. It is a bad thing to do. In fact, I asked SOS and I've asked Best Buy, what happens when people bring in their image backups? Well, that's a very expensive proposition, and a lot of them charge up to $200 an hour, and often it takes over 6 or 7 hours to restore an image backup because they don't do it all the time because nobody does it, and they don't understand the software, etc., etc., etc. So if you think you can repair your hard drive, if you think you can take your laptop apart, if you think you can restore your image backup, and you can do all those things, well, go ahead. But the average person can't. So backing up your hard drive is certainly not needed in 2014, and it isn't needed in 2022. All right, three reasons you don't need to back up your hard drive. First, backup software is complicated, and the restore function must be confirmed. In other words, you must turn around, have another system or computer, and actually restore the image backup to make sure it works, or you never really know. Now, in the software company I was involved with, we charged $6,000 for each individual backup and restore service we provided. So it is expensive. Now, the reliability of your hard drives has certainly changed over the past few years. This last year at Tech for Senior, we discussed the spinning drives and how unreliable they are. Certainly, most computers now are sold with solid-state drives. These are very reliable and should be your primary drive in your computer today. The third factor that's changed is, of course, Windows 10 is much easier to install than it was many years ago. Windows 7 was really difficult, as was Windows 3, and all the previous editions were very, very hard to install. Whereas Windows 10, I bet anybody in this audience could install Windows 10 today. So it's very easy to do, and I'm sure Windows 11 will be the same. So those are 3 more reasons why you do not need to back up your hard drive. All right, so this is my studio. Let's have a look. Now, these are the accounts that I use on a daily basis. I showed you this slide because these are all protected by two-factor authentication. But let's see what accounts I actually use on my computer. Well, there's Google, there's Microsoft, there's Amazon, Facebook, LastPass, PayPal, GoDaddy, Twitter, and MailChimp. So what do all these software programs have in common? And I will tell you, they're all based in the cloud. They're all backed up to either Microsoft OneDrive or Google Drive. They're all in the cloud. So again, on my computer, if it does not function, I simply go to my alternate computer, log in, and they're all there. I don't need to back up the hard drive. All right, let's talk about my Quicken software. So Quicken will automatically back up to a separate directory. I also back up to the SSD my solid state 2 terabyte drive you see in the video here. And I do this on a daily basis after I use Quicken. So there are 2 copies, one on my hard drive, one on my solid state drive. Now within the solid state drive, I also have Google Drive back up that file to the cloud. So there are always at least 3 or 4 copies. And once a month I take, as you'll see, there is a separate hard drive. It's a Western Digital hard drive that I have, and I back up all my files, my Quicken files, onto that separate portable hard drive and unplug it from the network. So you'll see it sitting there. So that is my final copy, which could never be compromised if I had a ransomware attack or something, because it's not connected. That's how I back up my very important files, but not my hard drive. So in closing, don't back up your hard drive. Backing up Windows is not needed and leads to frustration. Restoring an image backup is expensive and not needed. Use online backup for important files, and choose a safe, reliable backup strategy that meets your needs in 2022. All right, there we go. That's the rebuttal, and that is the my segment. Now we're going to Hewie. Bob. Are you going to time us on this one?
Sure am. Don't want somebody to get an advantage.
All right.
I have it. I have
All
the
right.
advantage just by the topic. And
All
I'd be
right.
glad to. And it's my turn to rebut.
You are. You go ahead, Hewie. Bob, start the timer, and you got 5 minutes to rebuttal.
Okay, you talked about storms and losing your image backups. Well, I mentioned in mine, you should also take your image backups and have at least one off premises somewheres. Best thing to do is if you got a bank a security vault, you might want to put it in there, a security box, or maybe a family member somewhere else. So you don't want it with your next door neighbor, because if it is a tornado or a hurricane or something, they may lose their house as well. But you should have an image backup. It doesn't have to be as often as your daily backups. You don't have to do that every day, because it's the files that get updated. If you go back in and restore your programs, you can update them if it's needed from an older backup. But the data is the important thing, like Ron said. I will agree that your data needs to be backed up, and you can do a lot of that offline. But still, if you've got an image backup, like with Acronis, it makes it's a TIB file, a true image backup, but it's a .tib file, which is nothing really but a large zip file. So when you click on the file, you can then find the drive, work yourself down and actually restore just one file if you need to from that huge image. But that image is there with all of your install, with all your keys installed and so on. So you don't have to go looking for each program and each, what did I have installed? I don't remember. Let's see. You mentioned solid states have you back up to your solid state drive. Well, solid state drives have a finite number of writes that you can do to them. So they die too. They may not die as often, but if they die and you're relying on that, you've got to be careful. And the fact that it's still connected to your computer all the time, if there's a storm, a fire, and so on, you're going to lose it. Now, yes, you're saying you're backing that up to the cloud. But what if the cloud goes away, or what if they have a problem, or a human being on their end, something gets deleted? I forgot who it was, but sometime this past year, one of the big companies lost a lot of data because somebody pushed the wrong button. So you're in danger there. So you need to back those up, either have them in multiple cloud places or have a hard drive of backup of what's in the cloud. Let's see. And backup often is one of the keys, and to But what you've got to be careful of is if you've been hit with ransomware, they usually plant something, or even a virus or malware. They plant something and it takes a long time for it finally to manifest itself. So if you've got a backup from last week, that could be infected. You just didn't know it. So you need a lot of backups over a period of time stored somewheres. Again, multiple copies in multiple places so that you can go back to one of those older versions and get that information. And one thing I do want to remind everybody that no matter what you do to back up, make sure you keep a record of all of the software that you have installed and the keys and the version numbers of what you're using. There's a lot of different ways to do that, but make sure that you have copies of that. If you have to reinstall the software, at least you own it. And so if you've got the right key, you can reinstall it properly. How am I doing for time, Bob?
I just know when the 5 minutes are up.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Yes. The big thing is make sure you do back up your files, but an image backup, I would say some people do it once a year. I don't think that's enough. You really need to do it probably once a month, and then rotate the ones that are off site. And so you might want to have 2 or 3 drives in different places. If you've got kids in out of state or something, mail it to them in an envelope or in a box and say, don't open unless I need it. And then send it back to me when I ask for it. And then they could just put a label on it, send it back to you when it's time to use that drive, and then send them another one. So I think I'll leave it at that. Back up your system, but also back up your files. Or as Ron said, back up your files. I'm saying also back up your system.
Well, thank you. It seemed like you went longer than 5 minutes. Bob, are you honest on this? You're keeping him to the 5-minute list. Are you? Did he pay you off or something? Or
No, Miss A is the one that's doing the timing, and it just went off.
oh, okay.
Yeah, don't accuse me of cheating. I wouldn't cheat. I don't need to. I don't need to cheat. I'll win anyway.
All right. All right. So listen. All right. Bob, can I go or what?
Go ahead.
All right. So everyone, I wanted to just make it very clear. What we're talking about here is not should you back up or not. That is not the question. The question that we are talking about is should you back up your hard drive? It's not an issue of whether you should back up your files or back up your important data. The question that we are asked you to discuss today is should you back up your hard drive? Do you want to back up all your Windows files? Do you want a copy of Windows? Should you be backing up Windows? Should you be backing up to a complicated system such as an image backup? Do you know much about image backups? Do you know how they work and so on and so forth? That is the question. Not should you back up a file. The question is, should you do a backup of your hard drive? And I am arguing that in today's computer technology, you should not be doing that. And in fact, there is no need to do that. I'm glad that Hewie brought up Acronis, because a good friend of mine here, I don't know if Byron's still in the audience, he has Acronis written on his underwear. He is an Acronis guy that's been doing Acronis for a very long time. This last year, he did indeed suffer a major disaster and his hard drive failed. He is a computer programmer, and after 1 week of spending almost every day, 3 hours a day on tech support with Acronis, he finally did get his backup installed and redone. All as I'm saying is that reinstalling an image backup or reinstalling all your Windows files back onto your computer is not needed in 2022. Now, there are 2 types of people. There's the Googlers and the Microsoft. If you're a Googler and use mostly Google and Chromebooks, then all your data is backed up. Hewie knows this because we don't back up Chromebooks. We've never backed up Chromebooks. We've never talked about backing up Chromebooks. Chromebooks do not need to be backed up for sure. And that applies over into your experience on Windows. Now, Google has a very sophisticated backup program that you can enable if you're using a Windows 10 PC, and it will take any of your files, whether it's on your desktop, your folders, or whatever you have, and will back it up to the cloud. And this will also be available on your Chromebook or any other device, your portable device, and it all is available for you. If your computer crashes, you simply would have it fixed. You'd take it to Best Buy, they'd fix it, reinstall Windows, you'd log back into Google, and it's all there. Now, Microsoft does the same thing. If you do not have, you should be aware of OneDrive. And actually, OneDrive works even better. If you're a Windows user, then you're working in Windows, you simply right-click on the file or desktop or whatever you want, and that you can either synchronize it to the cloud or back up to the cloud. It's so simple, and no matter what device you go to, it's there for you. So I'm arguing that it is not necessarily, and it is expensive. It can be complicated for you to do a whole hard drive backup, and that's what we're talking, not about backing up your individual files. We're talking about backing up your whole hard drive. This is a procedure that was taught 20 years ago. It's outdated, it's outmoded. Nobody does that anymore. In fact, Windows 10 has Windows 7 software, which come from XP. That's how old this stuff is, because nobody does this anymore. If your computer breaks, you simply take it down to Best Buy, they'll reinstall it, fix it, reinstall Windows 10 for you, and you log into your account and it should all be back for you. You don't need to back up and try and restore your whole hard drive. That's not what we do in 2022. And that's it. I'm finished. All right.
You lose.
Well, just a minute. Hold on. Hold on now. Just a minute. Don't jump to conclusions. So we're going to do another, what time? We got some time? Yeah. So this is going to be perfect timing. We're almost ready for Ray. Okay. Let's do the final poll and let's see if we have people change their minds. Now, just let everyone know what we're going to do is then we're going to move into Ray's segment, and then we're going to do the music, and then we'll close the meeting and then open it up for Q&A, and we can all talk about, what we're talking about. Okay. So let me just do let me do the poll, and we're just going to go to, here we go. And we're going to launch it again. Now, same question, but if you could just fill that in. And let's see if we've changed anybody's opinion.
Oh, no.
Huey, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble, Huey.
It looks like it.
You're in big trouble. Bob, do you want to give me the cutoff time?
While you're waiting for an answer, just so everyone knows that I religiously every week do an image backup using what Ron said was very complicated. It isn't, but anyway, I do that. Have I used it lately? No, I have not. The last time I did a clean install of Windows, I installed a clean version, which means everything got wiped out. And then I allowed OneDrive to install all my data because that's automatically synced. And then I did a clean install of all those programs I personally wanted back. Not all the ones that I already had accumulated, because I do lots and lots of testing of programs. So my computer at the time that I did the clean install was so loaded with programs, most of which I only installed to test, do a video on, and then never went back to them. And heck, we all know we got lots of drive space, so why bother uninstalling? But when I did the clean install, at that point, I only reinstalled the programs I actually wanted.
Exactly.
That means I have a nice clean computer at that time. My data, my pictures, and all the other stuff, that was synced with OneDrive and automatically came back.
Exactly.
The only thing to remember is use the same username when you do the new install of Windows as you used when you had the old system. Okay?
Okay, so Bob, that'll probably come up in our talk afterwards.
Yep.
Now listen, Mr. Poplock, we have, so 91% of people said you should back up your hard drive. After the debate, only 50% of people said so. So I converted 40%. I think I win.
Either that or people just want to be lazy and they say, well, now I don't have, now I got an excuse not to have to do that.
All right, listen, we went from 91 to 9 down to 50-50. So there's definitely some movement here. Anyway,
I'll concede that you definitely convinced some people. But
all right,
I have some things to talk about in the Q&A section.
All right, and we will. Now, again, just remember, we did this as an educational purpose. We thought this would be a fun way to discuss the issues of backup. Backup, of course, are very serious, and we want you to think about it. So this obviously was meant to stimulate your thoughts, and obviously
and back up your files, please.
Yeah,
if nothing else, back up the files.
Back up your files. You're right.
Yeah,
that's not an issue. But the question really was, should you back up your hard drive? All right, listen, Ray, are you ready to roll?
I am. I'm going to make a couple of.
Just hold on, Ray. Just before
Okay.
you do that, I just want to say goodbye to our friends over on YouTube. We should probably stop the feed over there. Thank you so much. If you want to pop over for the Q&A, you're welcome. Otherwise, we will see you same time, same place in next week. Okay, go ahead.
All right. The first thing I'm going to mention is when I wrote today's article for the music segment, it was about the passing of the lead singer of the Ronettes, and that was only on Thursday. In the last few days, these are the following artists from that I used to listen to all the time that have passed on. Jerry Granahan, he did a song called No Chemise, Please. He became a pretty big executive in the music business. A woman named Rosalie Hawkins of the Dixie Cups, their song everybody remembers is Chapel of Love. Sonny Turner, he was the lead singer of the Platters after Tony Williams left throughout most of the 1960s. And Fred Paris, he's the lead singer of the Five Satins, and absolutely the most popular doo-wop song ever in the Still of the Night. They all passed away in a matter of 2 or 3 days at the same time. So very sad losses for the music many of us grew up listening to. Okay, let me now share my screen. Okay, the first bad girls of rock and roll. So my guess is most folks are not familiar with the name Veronica Bennett. But if I changed it to Ronnie Spector, that would be a different story. Yes, they are one and the same, a rock icon who was the lead singer of the Ronettes, the popular 1960s girls group. Sadly, she lost her battle with cancer on January 12th, just last week, at the age of 78. Now, she was born in New York, Spanish Harlem, formed the Ronettes with her older sister, Estelle, and cousin Nedra Talley. As a trio, they received major support from big-time New York DJ disc jockey Murray the K Kaufman. They had a unique look, which they hoped would get them noticed. What was that look? Well, overly teased beehive hairdos, dramatic black eyeliner, and tight outfits. This became the Ronettes' image. Now, while the Ronettes released a few singles, they got their big break when they auditioned for record producer Phil Spector. According to Ronnie, at that first meeting, she started singing, and Phil almost immediately stopped her in mid-sentence to say, "That is the voice I've been looking for." The Ronettes went on to have 9 top 10 hits while recording for Spector's Phillies record label, with, of course, Be My Baby becoming their best-known song. Ronnie and Phil wed in 1968, but that marriage lasted only 6 years. It's been reported that Phil was violent and abusive towards Ronnie, both physically as well as emotionally, to the point where he hid all her shoes so she could not leave the house. With her mother's help, she did escape barefoot and with only the clothes she was wearing. At this point, she probably thought she was out of the music business for good. Then in 1986, Ronnie had a cameo appearance on Eddie Money's Take Me Home Tonight, where she sings the words, "Be My Little Baby." That song made it to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, which turned out to be the highest charting single of Money's career. This song allowed Ronnie to relaunch her singing career on a very limited basis since she was now married to Jonathan Greenfield, the music manager, and was raising a family. Ronnie did find time to write a book in 1990 with a 17-word, yes, a 17-word title that says it all. Be My Baby, How I Survived Mascara, Miniskirts, and Madness, or My Life as a Fabulous Ronette. This memoir is being used as the basis for a Ronnie Spector biopic to be released later this year, starring actress and singer Zendaya, who Spector personally chose to play her. All right, let me just optimize. And that was the Ronettes.
That was great.
Yeah, that was really good. You go back over some of these songs and you think, I haven't heard that for such a long time, but I remember it. I grew up with it, right?
And you know all the words when you hear it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Can't remember why I went to the refrigerator, but I can remember the words to the songs.
Indeed. Listen, it is top of the hour. Thanks for everyone for coming. We're going to move into the question and answer part now. But before we do, I just wanted to remind everybody about our premiere event today and let everyone know what's going to be happening at 5:30. We have, of course, 3 speakers today. Dewey is going to talk about what is a 0 day in Windows. So if you want to know what 0 day means in Windows, Dewey's gave that talk a year ago. Hewie's going to talk about how the pandemic has changed technology. I talked to Hewie about that a couple of days ago, and he didn't even remember that he did it. So you may want to watch that, Hewie. You may want to watch it. It was a good talk. You did really well on it. So it's going to be there. And I'm going to be talking about new technology, exploring new technology, which of course leads into the virtual reality, the 3-part virtual reality series I did last year, which this was the first of that part. So that will be on at 5:30 on our premiere service. If you want to know how to get there, just click the red button on our website and it'll take you right there. All right, now you know the routine. If you want to talk and you want to say something, you can just hit the reactions button, and then you can raise your hand, and that brings you, of course, up into the Dewey's here, up into the audience, and we can see who you are. Bill, go ahead. I think we'll give you the first. You get to start first.
Yeah, I had a question for Ray. Were the girls in the background in mirrors? I tried to look, and it looked like there was a blonde on the outside of each one and a brunette on the inside.
You mean the singers or the dancers?
The dancers.
Yeah, I don't know what show that was. I'm going to guess it was something like Hullabaloo or Shindig. Those were popular shows in the early 60s, and they had a lot of dancers in the background always. But that was their only purpose, was to dance.
Yeah, it looked to me like that maybe they were using mirrors, and the way that the camera was, there were only half as many girls.
Oh, you got a better eye than I do. Very good, Bill. I didn't notice that at all.
All right, Hewie, go ahead. Bill, did we answer that? You just had a comment. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, my comment was also on the dancers. I'm wondering how many of those dancers made it in show business, or that was their one hit wonder, and they are still saying, boy, look at me, boy, back then. That was me up there in the corner. But a lot of them might have gone on and had their own careers as well. A lot of them started that way.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. A very good point, Hewie.
Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, regarding dancers, I don't think they would call them dancers. They just wiggle their foot a little bit in their hands. The question I had was, did Hewie or somebody go to the CES show, and did we learn anything from it?
The show that it's next week. It's the 27th, 28th, and 29th show that I'm going to.
No, I was referring to the Consumer Electronics Show.
Oh, no, I did not. I did not go to the CES, but I did with Mike Ungerman, and I did about an hour and a half presentation on different items from CES, and it's on the CFCS YouTube channel. We're going to take some parts of it and use it for one of the programs here.
Thank you.
parts of it anyway.
Dewey, you made it to the show.
I'm muted.
Unmute yourself.
Yes, I did. I was just trying to find something to assist my reply. Would you talk to somebody else first? Maybe I can find what I'm looking.
All right. So Chris and Edith, what do you have to say to us?
I have a comment, but then I got a question at the end. For several years, we bought a backup service that was live that backed up our machine and did a bunch of other things. And we had purchased a new hard drive from that company, and within 2 years it crashed. And so they agreed to put a new one in the Windows machine. And when they did, I said, well, this is going to be easy. We're going to be able to get the backup off your system. And they said, okay, we'll do that. And about 2 months later, trying to pull this data down almost continuously connected to the internet, they finally gave up and said, it's there, but we'll probably take another 2 months to get it back down and put it on your new hard drive. And so that began our motion to the Chromebook. Now I have another question. I had heard that if you do an image backup, that if you have the same machine, it comes down fairly easily. But if you buy a new machine, then it's a real nightmare to put all that data there. And then unless you're a computer genius, you're going to have a terrible time doing the image backup to a new machine. Is that true?
Yes.
Nope.
Well, I would argue, Chris, that is one of the problems with image backups. And if you did, and I'm not sure that it's as big a problem with Windows 10, but certainly was in Windows 7, because of course of the licensing issues of Windows. And you're having a new motherboard, and the motherboard is the imprint that gives the security for it. So you try to restore that image. I mean, you get into I've seen so many people get burned on image backups that I don't know anybody that ever does it, like it's just not something that I would ever recommend. Yes, exactly.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I think it's just bad stuff. And even and if you go in Windows 10 and look at it, it's the image backup software they used in XP. Why? Because nobody uses it, right? It's just no one wants it. So why do it? Okay.
I have one last comment. Buy a Chromebook. That's what got us the Chromebooks. I put the Windows machines on the shelf, and in 2 years, Edith and I haven't used them, picked them off the shelf at all.
Right.
Like Ron and I both use programs like Camtasia that are not available for a Chromebook, and you'd need an awful lot of RAM and processing power. So a Windows computer is almost necessary for us, or a Mac, but in this case, a Windows. And I've had occasion where I've had to take my Acronis backup and image backup and restore it to a new drive in a machine. It took less than an hour, and I was up and running again with the same computer, just as if I had never had a problem with it. So sometimes it works well too. There can be issues, but most of the time, especially if it's the same computer, you just restore it and you're good to go. And what I found too is when I've restored a computer and did a clean install and then wanted to start installing programs, I forgot to write down, or I had files that I had put somewheres that I didn't include in the backup procedures when I was backing up my files. And so I lost stuff. I would have lost stuff if I had not had that image backup. So
if I could just add to that, and I just add to that, is that in 2022, or you take 2021, let's take example of Camtasia, which is a paid for video editing that Hewie and I use. We have online accounts with Camtasia. If I have to ever reinstall that, I click a link in the online account, and within 2 minutes, a full copy is restored back into my Windows machine. The same with Quicken. It is no longer CDs, DVDs, serial numbers, all that stuff is old. We don't do that anymore. It's all simply an online account. You click a button and it'll reinstall it within 2 or 3 minutes. That's computing in 2022. no CDs, no DVDs, no serial numbers, none of that is it all happens through your online account. And so
What happened to me this year is I had not installed a program when I got my new computer, a year and a half ago. I had not installed one of the programs on it. And when I went to do that, when I went to get the original back from the company had been sold, and the new company had their new version of it. And what I had to do is send them an email giving them all of the information about my account, the serial number, and so on. And then they said, okay, they sent me a special link to get the old program. They didn't send me a new one. They let me install the old program, but I had to go through a lot of hoops for that too. So it's not always the case where you can just go get the program.
Dewey, did you find what you were looking for?
Yes, but it turns out I'm not going to use it. First of all, I want to report, I'm late because I was at the effort to resuscitate the Silver Ridge Computer and Technology Club, which some people here know that Ron was the program manager for the club for 10 years, and the club has literally died. The good news is we had a nice turnout today, about 50 people, and things are looking up. That's the main thing. On the issue of the backup debate between Ron and Hewie, I have to say I'm on Hewie's side and using a very different method that I know Hewie approves of because we discussed it some time ago. Anyway, what I do is I use software and hardware from a California company called Apricorn, APRICORN. I have an 8-inch dongle that connects to a hard drive. This is the old-fashioned way, but I don't use that anymore. But now the newer fashion is I just use their software and I do a full clone, of my hard drive. And if something should go wrong, let's, perish the thought. Let's say your whole hard drive, literally your the one that's on a card, goes bad. You would have your exact bootable image of your hard drive that you could just reapply. Give you a good example. About 5 years ago, when I was using a regular hard drive, I had a hard drive actually completely fall apart. And I had cloned my hard drive 29 days earlier. It took me a total of 21 minutes to get that cloned hard drive into my computer, update it, and I was back running. Now, don't tell me that you can do anything faster than do a complete restore in 21 minutes. It was amazing. So that's my take on it. And I think Hewie would appreciate that.
Thanks, Dewey. And we look forward to you when you come back. We're going to miss you for 10 weeks, but we do look forward to you when you come back. And if you
this may well be sooner than later.
Okay, and you are most welcome anytime you want to drop off one of your great videos, and we will play it for you. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Brad, go ahead.
Yeah, just an update. I had to go out and rescue my wife. So the snow was up over my knees, and I'm over 6 feet tall. She got stuck on the driveway coming out of the underground in our apartment building. So she was stuck there. So actually, I had to go open the garage door for her so she could back up the car back into the underground. So,
well, Brad, just in case you missed it, I won the debate. So,
I voted for you. But I didn't. I missed the first poll, but I got the second one. So I just thought I'd let you know that it's like, I think when Mal Lastman called the Army, I think John Tory might be calling the Army today.
All right. Thanks so much. Bill, go ahead.
Yes. I have to kind of agree with Hewie on something, but he also mentioned about saving the serial numbers and everything for programs. In my 30 years with tech support, I found many times that, like he did, the programs didn't work with the backup and one another. So you really need to make sure that your data is on a format that can be read by anything. That was it.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Nancy, go ahead.
Hi, you guys, and thank you for doing this presentation. It's I'm not a very techie person, and so yeah, just learning what you guys are all saying is helpful. But my question to you is, I listened to Huey's, or I read.
Stacy.
I'm sorry, what?
Go ahead, Nancy.
And so my question is, I have a Microsoft and OneDrive, and OneDrive said it was full. So then I end up buying some more space, I think is what I did, end up paying $69, but it looks now like I could subscribe to 365, but I already have Word and all that software, is it software, hardware downloaded. So I guess my question is, OneDrive is a cloud-based, right? And can it get full?
So Nancy, the best thing you can do is if you have Office 365, which is really what you're talking about. And if you don't have that, this is the best deal in the world, because you can you get 1 terabyte of online storage. So if you haven't purchased Office 365, not only that, but you can share that with 5 other people, and they each get 1 terabyte of storage as well. So it is. So if you are just using the free version or of the free version in Windows, then yeah, I think you're limited to 5 gigabytes. That might be, or 10 gigabytes. But you know, my advice is just to get the Office 365, because it's the best deal in town. Now, if you are a Google, sorry.
There's a couple of versions of Windows 360 or Microsoft Office 365. You can get just for one person. So you only get the 1 terabyte for that account. But if you buy the one that it's actually 6 copies, and each copy, each person can get 1 terabyte of storage. So whatever you had, you wouldn't have to pay the amount, but you would have to. It is a subscription based, same as the $69 that you paid. That's probably for 1 year. You're going to have to pay that each year. If you're going to pay $69, you're better off getting the Office 365 for one, I think is around $69 or $79. It's usually around $100 for the 5 version, for the 5 people or 6 people.
Okay, perfect, you guys. Thank you so much.
Okay, Tim, go ahead. Unmute yourself, Tim.
Tim, you're muted.
There you go.
Better now?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can hear you.
I have OneDrive also, the big one, and I'm having a hard time getting my mind around how to operate it. Has anyone discovered a good tutorial on it?
Bill James, do you have one out there? I think you do, don't you?
I have a partial one, yes. Really, the way I look at OneDrive is just another storage area. And so there's not really much to do other than go down to your sys tray and just initialize it to make sure your documents, pictures, and I think it's videos, I can't remember what the other one is, are enabled, and that's all you need to do.
The problem is that if you've got more than that terabyte or more than that, like the 10 gigabytes that it gives you, there is a way that you can say, I only want certain things copied from my hard drive to OneDrive, but I want certain things in OneDrive to be there and not also be on the hard drive, because you can fill one or both of them up. And so there's some ways to have some cloud only and some that are both cloud and on your hard drive. And that's, I think, what you'd be asking for. And I'm not sure if there is a good tutorial on that. I'll have to look and see. If not, that might be one I might, or Bill might, or maybe Bill and I can do it together, come up with one for you.
Tim, my advice would be just go to YouTube and do a search on that. There would be hundreds and hundreds of videos on the basics of using OneDrive, the beginner's use of OneDrive. it would be, there would be so much, there for you that that you'll have lots of it's a popular common topic that I'm sure that there would be lots of YouTube videos. Just do a search on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Carl, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question for Hewie. I have Office 365, and what I don't recall, do they count each computer you have, even though it's the same IP address and account? Because I have two other people, my daughter and a girlfriend, who use it, which is great. But I didn't know about the additional terabyte for each of them. But do they count how many computers you have in your own home as users?
I think there's a limit, but I can't remember what it is. I know they allow you at least a home, you know, a home computer and a laptop, or a traveling computer, a mobile computer. But I'm not sure. But I'm not sure if you can have more than that. You can't operate maybe 2 at a time, but you might be able to have more. I'm not sure.
I have the family version, they call it, for 6 users. And I have 2 people that are not in my immediate household that are using my account. And there's doesn't seem to be an issue. And they all each have their own 1 terabyte of storage.
Yeah. That's that you can do with the multiple people account. You can give it to anybody you want.
Yeah, I have 2 external members too that are not living here, but I have 3 laptops, and I don't know if I'm using it on my Android.
You can have it on. I have 3 computers, actually 4, because I have it on my Chromebook. So I have those 4 computers are all using my licenses, and it'll keep track. It'll show you how many devices you have it installed upon. Plus, if you have it on a mobile device, that doesn't count towards your, like a phone, that doesn't count towards your numbers.
The problem I'm having is does it do automatic updates? Because my girlfriend and my daughter aren't getting automatic updates.
The updates should come in automatically. Yeah, it should just.
Yeah, you have to have that turned on in your updates.
Yeah, should be fine.
Update other Microsoft products, and it will do that.
Right.
There's a checkbox, I believe, in Windows Update that says update all my Microsoft products.
Right. So just I wanted to get Chandran a chance. Chandan, do you have a under 1 minute question?
Okay. The question of how easy is it to load an image or a clone, there's a difference, and it all depends on which program you're using, whether it's Acronis or Macrium Reflect, which is free, or the paid version. And you have to be careful. If it's a clone, you have to put the same hard drive. You know, if it's a 1 terabyte, you put a 1 terabyte so that you can use the clone. But if you make an image, you can put a 2 terabyte hard drive in it and download your image, you know, put it on, not download, but copy it. So it all depends on the programs you use to back it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
And before we go, one final from Hewie. I did put in the chat box, and there's several after that, but there is a link to the Mike and Hewie CES report, the program we did for CFCS, and there's a link to it in the chat box. So grab it and copy it, and then save it.
Want to thank everyone for coming. I thought I had a really good time. It was fun.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was a great.
Ronnie did a good job considering the topic.
You did a good job too, Hewie. Thank you so much for doing it. We're still friends. We didn't box each other up too much, right? Yep. All right. And so we'll see you back next week, same time, same place, or we'll see you this Thursday. Bill James will be on our show on Thursday. He's going to talk about all sorts of gadgets. And if you missed the Thursday, you can even podcast on Friday. That'll be great. And don't forget the premiere service coming up in about 8 minutes. So if you want to watch it, just head over to our YouTube channel, and it will be we'll be talking about all sorts of good stuff. Otherwise, we'll see you next Monday. Don't forget about our coffee fund Please help us with that. We just need a little bit of help to keep going. And we will see everybody in a week's time. Bye now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.